Hello everyone. Now before this episode starts, I'd like to mention some exciting ass news. I will put a timestamp on screen just in case you do not care, but I don't see why you wouldn't. A while ago I downloaded ChatGPT, an app that allows you to do all sorts of cool stuff with AI, such as create photos and stuff. I didn't really know what to make of the app, I didn't know what good usage I could have to use that app. But I did come up with a good usage to extend Kale-Idle-Scope into new territories. I basically created an Instagram account known as Kale-Idle-Scope. Clever, huh? It's for the sole purpose of generating pictures based on every single BBM episode. Yeah, all of them. Can't guarantee that all of them will be eligible, but I will try my damnedest. As you can tell, it's similar to my YouTube profile picture and how it's a blonde kid with a square head. At the time of recording this video, I have made 13 of these photos, and I created the account on May 23rd, so obviously it's gonna be quite a while before we're in sync. Because this is episode 172? Crappin' damn. But if you are interested, it is free for anyone to view. It's not like my actual personal Instagram account of Kale-the-Whale2000, or I have to accept your request. No, anyone is able to look at it. Anyways, I have really been scraping the bottom of the barrel to try to find anything to blog about for weeks at this point. And well, I did attempt this concept back in December, but I didn't get very far with it. I think that might have been my brain telling me that EP 164 might not have been the right time to make this blog and I needed to wait for the right moment. How do I know that it's the right moment now? Well, you see, and I really need to quit mentioning my job and coworkers all the time in these videos. Let's take a break from that. Holy crap. That happens a bit too much. But honestly, I had this really interesting dream about all these hidden alcoves and rooms at work, stuff that I knew was there, but I never saw before. And I was exploring those alcoves. Of course, that was just a dream, but one day later, somebody was in this little area room that I had never been in before, possibly inspecting something, but it did trigger that dream that I recently had. When looking on the outside of the building, it kind of just looks like a tiny little area. But it does have me wondering if it could lead down to a basement or something. It does take a password to get in that room, so it has me thinking it could be a safe of some sort with some secretive stuff in there. Possibly I'm overthinking it. I mean, at this point, after all those videos I've done, giving you updates on my job, aside from a few closets here and there, I've probably seen everywhere that my work has to offer in most of the buildings. Now, what does this have to do with Harry Potter? Well, I've always been told that the third floor of Hogwarts is entirely off limits to the students. And I know why that is. It's because there's a vicious three-headed dog up there that guards the way to the chamber that holds the Philosopher's Stone. Because, they want to keep it hidden from this guy. Why they chose the third floor to hold the dog is beyond me. Hogwarts has a total of 7 son-of-assin floors, and they picked one that's kind of around the middle of the whole castle. And honestly, if they didn't really want those students to go into any room on that floor, they should have made it not as easy to get access to those rooms. For real, the trio was just walking up the grand staircase one night and accidentally made their way in there. I mean, sure, you have the occasional sign that says, third floor is off limits for those who don't want to die a painful death. But it's just that, occasional. They're not at every freaking entrance to any room on the third floor. I think it would have been better if all the doors on that floor were locked, or possibly had some sort of spell cast on them that only wizards who are permitted to get in there could break. Unless they're just passing through to get to a higher floor, I can understand why that area is prohibited. But like I mentioned in the first Harry Potter blog I ever did, Hogwarts is, and I quote, a big-ass school. And yeah, that's a true statement. It's a huge castle, and each floor has tons of rooms with so much to them. You just saw that picture I showed of the third floor earlier. It makes me wonder why exactly all of the third floor is off limits instead of just the one room with the dog. And well, that's where the imagination starts kicking in, boys and girls. That could have been where they chose to withhold anything that they didn't want the students to see or interact with. There could be a lot more to the picture than just the dog itself. Need an example? Let's say there's records showing off information about Voldemort. I mean, wasn't he a student at Hogwarts at one point in time?
I think I'm different.
Well, perhaps they're right.
I'm not mad.
Hogwarts is not a place for mad people. Hogwarts is a school. School of magic.
Quite clearly, they want the one that mustn't be named to stay as anonymous and unknown as possible. They don't want the kids figuring out where he lives and how to get there or anything like that, obviously. That's a recipe for freaking hell. Yeah, I mean, there must be so much that they have that they don't want the kids knowing about that they had to dedicate the whole entire third floor to those things and those things only. I obviously can't come up with everything that could possibly be on that floor, but what I just mentioned is probably a pretty good theory, right? Now here's where we start getting really creative though. There could also be, and this probably wouldn't be the first thing that come to you guys' minds, cursed snitches, or the Quidditch balls, you know, the golden balls with wings, you know? Quidditch is the fictional sport that they created for Harry Potter. And you know, I don't know much about the lore behind this series, but I don't believe anything like that has been mentioned in any book or movie. But if you think about it, who's to say that the students who misbehave a lot, like say Draco Malfoy, can't practice evil spells on inanimate objects? What if during Quidditch tournaments, Malfoy possibly could have used magic to get his main house of Slytherin to win the tournament? I mean, it's possible, right? Although, if they're putting those snitch balls on the third floor, they probably would have expelled Malfoy for having cheated. So that's probably not a true theory right there. I'm gonna let you guys fill in the rest as to what could be on the third floor that they really do not want the kids knowing about. But it's a pretty big floor, and I don't know why the whole thing has to be banned. That was this episode, and... Sorry for getting so uncomfortably close here. Now you're probably wondering, Kel, what the hell are we doing? Well, I don't have my wand, but I think the finger will do just fine. Wingardium Leviosa!